Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and I want to welcome you to the demo of installing the RenderX XEP XSL-FO print formatter on the Mac OS X operating system. I'm working with my typical Mac virtual machine that has OS X 10.10, which is one of the releases of Yosemite. And this is the same version that I've been using for a lot of the rest of my demos. And we're going to install the XCP print formatter on it, so we'll be able to use it for our demos and for our assignment work. The XCP print formatter, let's just take a look at what that's all about. I'm going to open up the website for a company called RenderX. And RenderX is the maker of an implementation of a formatting language for high quality print that's known as XSL-FO. And XSL-FO is a W3C standard. It has a handful of implementations. Not quite so many implementations are there as there are implementations of the browser, for instance. There's one open source implementation that's free, and it's from the Apache project, and it's called Apache FOP. And Apache FOP has been around like XSL-FO for more than 10 years. And in its early days, it was not a very conformant implementation of XSL-FO. And even today, it's not the best implementation of XSL-FO, but it's free and the price point is right. There are two popular proprietary implementations of XSL-FO. One is called XEP, and it's made by a company called RenderX. That's the one that we're going to be using, and the one that I've really used since about 2002. And the other one is from a company called Antenna House. And Antenna House is a Japanese company, and RenderX is a Romanian company. I've been sort of an education partner for RenderX for over 10 years, and I chose them over Antenna House because way back when they seemed to have stronger support in the US, and they've done a good job for me. And I've never really gone back to see what's up with Antenna House, but they're still going strong, and chances are they still have a pretty good company, a pretty good product. The product that we're going to be using, if I click on the navigation, go to Products, is called the XEP Engine. This is the code that takes a document. It's an XML document where the text is surrounded by a tag set called XSL-FO, and it turns out a high quality print document. The default output for XCP is a PDF. So we're going to be generating PDFs. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is to get the product installed on your machine. Typically, I can get RenderX to offer my students a free license for some period of time, usually about a year. And they've done it for us here they've come up with an academic license for the students in my class that's good for a little bit longer than a year. So it'll give you a chance to do some experimentation with it if it's a thing that really catches your attention. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to install this. Well, we're going to install this from information that I have on our D2L site. So I'm going to go to my little main page, my little home page, which is the way I find my way to D2L. And I'm going to log in. And when I log in, I'm going to see my courses. And because this course has the highest course number, it's the end of my list. And then I go to the site for our course, I click on content. And if you look under table of contents, you'll see in the third entry under table of contents, I have added some content. It's called RenderX XEP XSL-FO processor. And there are 2 entries, 2 files that you'll be able to download to your machine. The first is a license key file, and the second is a copy of the email that I got from our friends at RenderX, which has a link that takes us to where to download the software from. Okay, so let's make this a little smaller, and let's get ready to download. On Mac, I'm going to open up Finder to manage my files. Okay. And I'm going to go to Documents. And I have a folder for the course, but I just want a folder for the RenderX software. So I'm going to say RenderX here as the name of my folder. And I'm going to open it up. And as I download, I'm going to drag my files into that. So I'm going to go over to the file that has the license key. And I have to make that a little bigger. And I click on download. And I can see from the animation and the icon that I got my download. So I'm going to pull that license.xml file over. And then let's download the PDF that has the instructions on it. And that appears to have downloaded too, and we'll pull that over here as well. Okay. So for now, we can close our browser. Just kind of get it out of the way. And let's take a look at the license file. One of the things that you'll find about the XML folks is that they love to use XML. So I'm going to open the XML file with the Oxygen XML editor. And we're going to see it's a pretty ordinary XML file. It has the details of our license expressed as an XML application. So you can see that the root element is license, and within that, the children are licensee, product, and signature. And the licensee is my name, and that's pretty typical when I'm teaching a course. They'll put my name on the license. The organization is UWM. And then under product, we have the name of the product, XCP. And then we have a limit element that says that we have an academic license, quantity 1. And historically, when they give me an academic license, quantity 1, they say to give a copy of this to all the students in my class. And even though it says quantity 1, quantity 1 in the context means 1 class. And that's all we need to know. There's a signature code, which is what's going to activate our product. Okay, so we can close this copy of Oxygen, and we've seen that. Well, let's just go take a look at the email that I got. I'm going to make it look a little bigger. And you'll see right now, so far, even though we're going to be working with PDFs a lot, and even though I'm used to working with Adobe Acrobat and Adobe Acrobat Pro, I haven't installed that on my little virtual machine here. And so when I open up a PDF, it's going to open up the default Mac application for PDFs, which is called Preview. Now, in later demos, I am going to explore how the services might be different if we installed Adobe Acrobat. But for right now, we're not going to do that. So let's make this a little bigger. And I'm not too familiar with this PDF client. But the first thing is a link to where we're going to get the software. And interestingly enough, the software is expressed in terms of updates, okay? And if you are a licensee already and you get a new license code, well, then you're able to download the new version. So they do have a lot of licensee who are thinking of this as an update. But this is also a place where we can go as a new licensee to get our first copy, even though the wording says update. Just want to also point out that down here in paragraph 3 is a link to the RenderX support page on which you're able to subscribe to the mail list. And the mail list has been a big help to me over the years. This is probably the one mail list that I've been subscribed to for the longest. I've been subscribed for about 13 years, I think. And every day you get a couple of emails about questions that people have with regard to how to do things with XEP. Some of them from people who are new, some of them from people who are very experienced and want to do something unusual. And I tend to lurk on that group, and I enjoy seeing what goes by. Okay, so let's try to get the software. Okay, we're going to click on this link to download updates.html. It's going to fire up our browser, okay? And even though it says, again, update your software, this is the place to be if you're a new user. And the first thing we want to do is we want to come down under this update current software dialog box and click on the button for choose file. And it's going to allow us to navigate to the directory where we put the license file, and we're just going to highlight it and click choose, and you can see license.xml is there, and then we're just going to click on the update button. Now it promises us that it's going to start the download soon, and it has. I can see from the animation that we're downloading a file. And that looks good. All right, looks good indeed. All right, so let's close the PDF, close the browser. Let's leave our directory open here, because I want to pull in a zip file that I just downloaded. And it is the zip file. This is the product distribution for the most recent version of the XEP formatting engine. It's version 4.24. And I'm just going to double click on this to unzip it. And I'm going to pull the folder out. And let's open this just to see what's in it. There is a license if you want some more information about the terms of license. There's a setup.bat, which is only going to help you if you're installing this on Windows. Okay. There is a .jar file, which is a Java archive file. So we're going to have to make use of the Java that we have already installed on our machine, because we installed the Java before we installed the Oxygen XML editor. And then there's a README text. Okay, and there's pretty good instructions on how to do the install in the README text, but I've already read that, and I'm not going to continue to read it as we work. Okay, so what are we going to do? Let me close my terminal because I'm not supposed to have it open yet. What we need to do is we need to open up a terminal, which is a command line window, and we're going to need to execute the program that installs the software, which is going to be run by the Java virtual machine. So let's get a terminal window up. I go to my launcher. Okay. And I'm already in the page it's called Other, but let's back up. This is a typical view that you see when you bring up the launcher. And the terminal is in this category called Other, so click on Other. And then over on the second row, almost all the way on the right, is Terminal. Click on that. And it'll fire up a terminal, which is the command line for OS X. And the first thing you're going to want to do is confirm that you've got a Java virtual machine installed. So you type in Java space hyphen version, full word, and return. And we can see here that I've got a version of Java here, Java 1.6 build 65, which is pretty old. And I forget what product I needed to install this older version for. But I did look on my main Mac operating system host, and I've got a newer version of Java installed there, and it seems to be working very well with XEP. So I'm thinking that if you have any Java installed at all, that's certainly a Sun Java, you should be fine to do the install. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to need to run the jar file. So in order to do that, we need to be in the same directory as the jar file. Okay, so we need to navigate to that directory. So if we want to see the files in our current directory, we issue an ls. Okay. And we're too far down. No, we may be okay. Let's go. Let's change directory cd to documents and do another ls. And there we are. There's our there are our two directories, including the RenderX one. And let's do a cd again for change directory and RenderX. And we'll do an ls. And we see we have all of these files, including the zip file and the directory of the same name. So what we want to do is we want to do a change a directory to this name that's the same as a zip file. And I'm just going to highlight this because I can. And press like Command C. And then down on the command line, I'm going to type cd space and then a Command V. Okay, so that's going to change my directory to that directory name. And I'll do an ls to see what's there. And now I'm in the same directory as the jar file. Okay, and again, that's a lot to type, so let's highlight that and copy it with the command C. And let's go back down to the command line, and let's type in Java, which is the name of the Java virtual machine, and then -jar for jar. I want to run a jar file. And then we're going to insert the name of the jar file, and that's going to be, we're going to do that with the command V. Okay, so that should run the installer. And let's run it. It seems to be running pretty well. Pretty well indeed. Okay. So, it says we want to install to the directory. So first of all, let's try to navigate to find our license file. So it's in Documents. And this is where I was having a hard time. I have a hard time in my virtual machine because Java programs are a little bit weird, but it's in Documents, RenderX. You won't have this problem on your machine. And then it's called license.xml. Okay? You'll be able to navigate right to yours and choose it. And I'm just going to do this users Kevin Trainer XEP. I'll let it be in my own directory. I think that's fine. I don't want this GNU free font. You could do that. That's okay, but I don't really need it. And I'm going to click the install button. And it said that it's installed. Okay, good. Very good. So where should it be? Well, it seems like we told it to put it in we told it to put it on the Macintosh drive in library. Let's find it. Applications. We have XCP here. I'm going to pause while I find it. I'll be right back. And I'm back, and I found it right where I thought it was, but I couldn't see it. So I'm going to go to my Macintosh hard drive. And before I had this, so I couldn't see the users folder. Now I just opened it. Oh, and there's the users folder. And there's Kevin Trainer. And there's the directory for XEP. All right. And there's a lot of stuff in here that's kind of interesting, including some examples that we'll come back to play with in a few minutes. Okay? So, I think that the best thing to do now is to close this stuff and go to Oxygen. So let's open our old friend, the Oxygen XML editor. And we need to set a preference that's going to say, hey, I've installed the XEP print formatter, and here's where it is. Well, it shouldn't be too hard to do. So we're going to go up to the menu, click on Oxygen XML Editor and Preferences. And we are going to find, this is way down towards the bottom, query proc. It's always the last place I look, guys. There'll be another brief pause while I find my way to a place where I should already know where it is. I apologize for that. Brief pause. And now we'll unpause and find what was hiding right in front of us. So if we go down through the preferences, we're going to go down and we're going to find XSL-FO query. So all those things are all in the same spot. Okay. And somewhere down here under XQuery, and I don't know exactly why they put it there, they have FO processors. Okay. So we have use, right now the default is use built-in Apache FOP, and you know, you can still try FOP. I get very raggedy results with it. Or we can add a new processor. Okay. And we can call it XEP. And I'm sorry, we're not even going to do that. We have a place to browse for XCP. You used to have to do that, but you don't have to do that anymore. We have a higher level of integration with Oxygen. So these are the two big proprietary ones, XCP and Antenna House. So we're going to browse for XCP. Okay. And we're going to find our way to where XCP is. And if you remember, it's under Users. Kevin Trainer for me, XCP. Okay. And I think it wants to go all the way to the program, if I remember right. And the program is right here, and it is called XEP. Right there. So now we're going to open, and that is it. So let's just say OK. All right. So now I want to run a test. Well, since I haven't shown you how to use the FO print formatter yet, how are we going to do it? Well, luckily it comes with some samples. So let's take a look. Let's go up to the menu line for the Oxygen XML editor, and let's go try to open one of the sample files. So we're going to say File, Open, and where is this? Well, this is in the directory for XCP. It's under Examples. Okay, and let's do Hammer. Okay, and let's open Hammer XML. And this looks like a user manual for Hammer. Okay. Fine. And now we're going to have to give it a transformation scenario. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to come over to the rightmost wrench, click on it, and let's say we want a new XML transformation with XSLT. We do want to use the current file. And let's look for the XSLT file, which is in Hammer XSL. Let's open that. Okay. And I usually like to get rid of all this hoo-ha in the beginning because it's in the same directory, and that's all we're going to need. Okay, so let's change the XSLT transformation engine to the most expensive one from Saxon, since they've given it to us for free. And this is all we need for the XSLT tab. Now, this is the first time we're going to use this FO processor tab. So we're going to click on Perform FO Processing, Method PDF, that's what we want, Processor Apache FOP. Now you can give that a try. I don't think you're going to like the result. But now, since we configured XEP, we can pick it, which is good. So this is all the configuration we need to do for the FO processor. And now let's click on Output. Okay. And let's save it with the current file name. So we'll click on that ... and pick the variable for current file name. And .file type. And what file type did we say? Well, we said it's going to be a PDF. So file name .pdf. Okay, and we want to click on the checkbox that says open in the browser or the system application. It'll open it in the system application for the PDF. Okay, so let's say OK. Now we're ready to go, and let's say apply associated. So we should see a transformation happening. And here's our manual. Now, I've never seen the manual in this particular PDF client. But you can see there are a lot of interesting features that are possible. We have a title page with a fancy box with an outline that has all of the title information. We've got a footer down here with the copyright. We've got an interesting kind of the next page, still has the footer on it. Then we have a table of contents, but it doesn't have to take up a whole page. And this looks like a technical menu. We have a 2-column layout, okay, which is nice. And as you can see, we still have the footer. We have a place for footnotes. Now let's look at what's going on here. So we've got page 3 up here, and we've got the page numbers in the upper right. Now the page 4 is in the upper right as well. And we've got tables, we've got figures, we've got just about everything you would want to do. And there's the end of it. Okay, and this is a PDF like any other PDF. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at another one of the samples. So it's open. We were on Hammer. Let's go up. Let's go to XEP, examples, char sets. Let's try basic. Let's see what that looks like. Inline borders, lists. Oh, so there are all kinds of possibilities here. So these are things that you're able to look at to find out how to code them. Okay, so if you're looking for code examples, you'd want to come down to examples in the distribution and go to basic. Let's look at char sets. Again, here's some stuff to do with char sets. All right, so you could look at how to code those there. It's XML spec. Well, this looks like it might be the XML specification. XML2e.xml. Okay, so this is the XML specification itself. Pretty big document. Somebody might want to publish. And let's create a transformation scenario for this. It's going to be new. Transformation. And let's go down. And we'll pick, we don't want hammer anymore. Because we're in XML spec. Okay. And let's call this XML spec 2.0 XSL. It's the only XSL that we have, so I think that's the one that we want. Okay. And again, I'm going to get rid of all this file path stuff because we're in the same directory. I'm going to take the high-level processor again. Now we're going to go over and configure FO by clicking the checkbox saying I do want to perform FO processing. The method can be PDF. Another thing that I didn't really talk about before, the default here is for the input. The result of the XSLT is going to be the input. Okay, and that's what we want. The alternative is that we can say that the input file is an FO document. Now, most people do not code FO documents by hand. I mean, some of the examples were XSL-FO documents that have been coded by hand. And if you want to see how they run, you can certainly you can open them up and you can say here that you want to that you want to transform, sorry, that you want to process the file directly without a transformation. But the typical thing that we do is that we do a transformation, we surround the content from our XML input document with XSL-FO tags instead of HTML5 tags, for instance. And then we take that result, and instead of shipping it off to the browser, we ship it off to the FO processor. Okay, so we're going to take the default there. Method is a PDF, and then the processor, again, is going to be XEP. All right, and then we're going to click on OK. No outputs file specified. Forgot to do the output tab. That was a mistake. So let's say that we want the current file name .pdf. And let's say that we want to open it in the system application again. So now it'll allow me to say OK. And now it'll allow me to do apply associated. And this will probably be a pretty big transformation because this is a pretty long document. Well, didn't take very long though, did it? Okay, so this is from October 6th of 2000. This is the specification for XML. And you can see some things. You can see we have a footer here. We have a rule above the footer. We have a pretty extensive table of contents. which is quite nice. We have these little leaders between the titles in the table of contents and the numbers for the pages. That's the thing that you can do. So we're going to keep on going. And one of the nice things that we have here is the page 1 of 40. So we can actually put a marker at the end of our document. And then we can actually, when we do our pagination, we can say page 1 of whatever. Okay? And that's a trick that I hope to teach you before the end of the course. You can make really good use of color and type. Here's a thing that's really nice. This is a pretty advanced skill, but you'll notice that on this page here, page 1 is a right side page. And so it has a page number all the way out at the right. The next page is intended to be printed on the back of that. And so the number of the page is on the left side. Okay, so it's you can even say we've got right and left pages. It's pretty nice. So for a publishing tool, and one that's reasonably priced, it is pretty darn cool. And now we go on and we get to the end of the 40 stuff. Okay, good. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to be brave. I'm going to try one more thing. Okay, and as usual, it'll probably not work, but we'll see. So let's go back and open. Let's go back and let's go to XEP and go to examples again. Okay, and let's go to char sets. Okay. No, maybe we probably don't want to go to char sets. Let's go to basic. Okay, and these say that they are FO files. Okay, so let's open BG image. Let's see what that looks like. Well, this file makes part of the test suite. Okay, so that's fine. So this is XSL-FO. Okay, I don't know whether they wrote it by hand or whether they had this as the output of an XSLT transformation. But let's us take this and let's say that we want to render this file. And I saw a way to do that. I've never done it. It's always unwise to do this. Oh, it's picking FO for PDF. Let's see if that works. Does that just work? So if you look down the bottom, it says that the transformation is in progress. And you see the little thing moving along. Oh. So we couldn't find a font. So that wasn't good. Well, it did try to transform it though. Let's see if we can find another one that will transform. It's always tricky to try to show something that you haven't done before. Let's try lists. All right, and we're going to try to transform again. It wants to try this FO for PDF. We'll give that a try. And maybe it's not going to ask for a font that we don't have. Ah, it was using Apache FOP. That's our problem. Well, we don't want that. So let's try, we want a new one. Let's try XSLT transformation, but we're not saying that we're going to do that. So let's just go right to the FO processor. Say perform XO processing. XML URL is input. And we want to use XEP. Let's try that. See if this works. No output file specified. Right, you are. So, current file name, PDF, and then open it. Let's see if that works. Apply associated. It worked just fine. So we didn't have to say what the XSLT was because we used the radio button that said we're not using the output of the XSLT. But now you're seeing a lot of stuff here. Okay, so there is a little bit on the Oxygen site in terms of the tutorial stuff for XSL-FO. There's a lot on the RenderX site in terms of tutorials for XSL-FO. And then we have the examples that are here, which are part of the XEP installation. So there are so many features. I'm not going to be able to show you all the features in the course of just a couple weeks, but I think you have some idea of places where you can go and just kind of noodle around and look for features that interest you and find examples that you're able to emulate. So that's the install for the Mac, and I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye-bye.